Level 1, $0. It's 1:42 a.m. The room is quiet except for the hum of a fan that's been running longer than it should. Your phone lights up again, the same notification you've already seen twice tonight. Insufficient balance. You don't open it this time. You already know what it says. You lie there, staring at the ceiling, doing the math over and over again. Rent in 5 days. Groceries maybe 3. You start calculating time in meals, in bus rides, in small decisions that suddenly feel like they matter more than anything else. At this level, money isn't a concept, it's oxygen. You don't think about wealth, you think about survival. You think about how many hours tomorrow will take, how many hours it will cost just to stay in the same place. Every decision is immediate. There is no long term, no investing, no strategy, just movement. And something begins to form here, quietly. Urgency. The kind that doesn't show up in motivational videos. The kind that doesn't look inspiring. It looks like stress. It feels like pressure. But it teaches you something nothing else can. It teaches you that time has weight, that effort has consequence, that in this system, standing still is the fastest way to fall behind. You don't know it yet, but this is the only level where effort feels this real, because it won't feel like this forever. Level 2, $1 million. The number changes, $1 million. The first time you see it, you don't react, not the way you thought you would. There's no celebration, no moment of arrival, just a quiet pause. You refresh the screen, once, twice, still there. You expected something to change inside you, relief, confidence, maybe even happiness. But what you feel instead is space, silence where panic used to be. You wake up the next morning and for the first time in years, your decisions aren't driven by urgency. You don't need to say yes to everything anymore. You don't need to calculate every purchase. You don't need to trade every hour just to maintain your position. At $1 million, money doesn't buy freedom. It buys distance. Distance from bad decisions, from people you had to tolerate, from environments you couldn't leave. But here's what no one tells you. You still think the same way. You still hesitate. You still compare prices. You still feel like you could lose it, because you can. At this level, you're not powerful, you're protected. And protection is not the same thing as control. Level 3, $10 million. This is where the shift becomes visible. Not to the world, to you. You stop working for money. You start working with it. You don't look at income the same way anymore. You look at leverage. You look at systems. You look at how to make decisions once and benefit from them repeatedly. Your time begins to separate from your earnings. That's the real change. You enter rooms you were never in before. Quiet rooms, no noise, no showing off. People here don't talk about how much they make. They talk about what they control. Deals, equity, ownership. You start to understand something deeper. Money is not the goal. Control is. Control over time, over decisions, over direction. At this level, you don't ask how much does it cost. You ask what does it return. And slowly, your thinking begins to change. You become more patient, more selective, more aware of how little most opportunities actually matter, because now a single decision can replace years of effort. Level 4, $100 million. This is where the game becomes quiet. You're no longer chasing outcomes, you're protecting them. Every move is calculated not for growth alone, but for preservation. Because losing at this level doesn't feel like going backwards. It feels like collapsing something that took years to build. You don't move fast anymore. You move precisely. You have people now, advisors, lawyers, analysts, entire teams whose job is to think through scenarios before you ever see them. But here's the truth. The final decision is always yours. And that weight doesn't go away. It increases. At $100 million, you start to see how the system actually works. Not from the outside, from within it. You see how access is granted, how information moves, how deals are created long before they become visible. You realize something most people never do. The best opportunities are never public. They exist in conversations, in relationships, in trust built over time. And once you see that, you can't unsee it.
Level 5. $1 billion.
At $1 billion, everything changes again. Money stops being personal. It becomes structural. You are no longer participating in the system. You are influencing it. Companies grow or shrink based on decisions you make. Entire markets respond to your movements, sometimes without even knowing why. You don't think in terms of income. You think in allocation. Where capital flows, what gets built, what gets delayed. Your day is no longer filled with work. It's filled with decisions, high-impact decisions that affect thousands, sometimes millions of people. And here's the part no one prepares you for. You don't see the consequences directly anymore. You see reports, numbers, summaries. The human side becomes distant, not intentionally, structurally, because at this scale, it has to. And then there's the final level, the richest person on Earth. At this point, the number itself becomes irrelevant. It's no longer about how much you have, it's about what you can move. Industries shift when you enter them. Markets react when you speak. Governments pay attention not because they have to, but because they understand the scale of influence you hold. You don't operate in the public the same way anymore. Visibility becomes optional. In some cases, it becomes a liability. Power at this level is quiet. It moves through networks, through influence, through decisions made in rooms that don't appear on any map. You're not reacting to the system anymore. You're shaping it. And that changes something fundamental. Because when you reach this level, there is no higher reference point, no one to compare yourself to, no system above you, just responsibility and perspective. But here's the part that connects all of it. From 0 to 1 million to 1 billion to the very top, every level gives you something, and every level takes something too. At 0, you lack money, but you feel everything. At 1 million, you gain space, but you still carry fear. At 10 million, you gain control, but lose simplicity. At 100 million, you gain access, but lose innocence. At 1 billion, you gain influence, but lose proximity to reality. And at the very top, you gain the system, but you are also fully inside it. Somewhere right now, someone is staring at a screen that says 0, thinking the first million will solve everything, thinking that money is the goal. They don't see the full path yet. They don't see what changes and what doesn't, but they will, because the system doesn't stop. It doesn't care where you start. It only responds to how you move within it. The number changes, the game changes, and every time you think you've reached the end, you realize you've just entered another level.